Spondylolisthesis is a condition in which one of the vertebrae in the lower back moves more than it should, slipping forward onto the vertebra below it. This can put pressure on the spinal nerves, resulting in lower back pain or leg pain. Causes of spondylolisthesis can range from age-related wear and tear, frequent overextending of the spine in young athletes, or genetics.
So my problem started here with between the L5 and S1. That's where things got out of whack for me to begin with, and I thought that I was having some kind of problem with my hips. I mean, that's how it all felt to me, because it was always my hips that hurt, not my back, until later on. So this is what they fixed first, was they fused this L5 and S1 together, and that's the fusion that failed. When they went back in there, the new doctor that did it said that he could just pull the screws right out. They didn't set it all. So back into a surgery I went again. And since that first fusion failed, they had to incorporate 2 more vertebra into the fusion. So they ended up fusing S1, L5, L4, and L3. And this fusion worked. But with them going in there and tearing everything out and putting everything back in there, adding the new vertebra, it's a lot of scar tissue. Scar tissue means inflammation. Inflammation means pain. And so that's how I ended up being disabled out of this. I just can't do things like I used to anymore. So anyways, this is what they did about it. Now there's actually 2 surgeries that happen. First is the decompression surgery, where they go in, they remove bone, and they open up the nerves and the spinal cord to alleviate the compression on it. And then once they have that taken care of, then they go in and they start doing the fusion, which this animation will show here in just a little bit. Now the animation has no sound, so yeah, they just scoop that stuff out of there like ice cream. Take a file to it. No wonder you're so dang sore after this, man. Then once the decompression's done, then they come in with the fusion part of it. Quite a process when you really think about it. I was on the operating table for 7.5 hours for the second fusion. So yeah, they ended up having to do this to 3 vertebrae, all fused together, fuse all 3 of them together. Dug all that stuff out for decompression, and all of what they put back in there is cadaver bone, and it grafts, and that's what fuses everything together. It's the raw bone that's been dug out, and that fuses it all together. So as for pain, this part of my back never stops hurting. I mean, if you've ever had a bad lower backache, just imagine that. That never goes away. If you don't experience it, you can't understand it. Sitting, standing, laying down, it does not matter. This part of my back hurts, and that's what I was taking the opiates for, was that constant pain. But I got off of the opiates, and I've learned how to live with it. I've figured out what the triggers are, and I do my best to avoid them. But sometimes if I want to do something, I just have to do it and suffer the consequences. I take a day, I do something that needs to get done. It might take me 2-3 days to recover. That's just the way my life is now. And then there's this hit. There's only one way that I can even come close to describing it. It feels like it always needs to pop. It feels like it's like out of joint or something. There's just no other way I can think of to explain it. It feels like my hip needs to pop all the time, and it aches. And it generally coincides with the aching in my back. And then of course we move on to the big problem, the sciatica. So let me tell you what, man, this is some bullshit, this sciatica. Now on this leg, it never goes away. It always hurts down to the knee, in the back of my thigh, and in my butt cheek. It burns is what it does. It always feels like this side of my butt and my thigh is warmer. It feels like I'm sitting on something hot. And when I'm standing up, same thing, it feels hot, and it's just a burning sensation that never goes away. That burning sensation is often accompanied by deep, it feels like it's right in the middle of your bone pain, and it shoots from the middle of my, or the lower back there where I showed always aches, starts there, goes over into my hip, and then shoots down to my knee. It's another one of those things that if you don't experience it, you can't really understand it. But usually it's, whenever I step down on my left leg, I'll get that shooting pain down my left leg, back of my left thigh. And I mean, sometimes it feels like my entire thigh is, somebody's got it in a vice, or like a giant's got a hold of my legs squeezing it. And it's just relentless. Never goes away. Well, it does go away, but there's nothing you can do to ease it, is what I'm trying to say here. You can't ease it by moving around, changing positions. It just is what it is. And sometimes it'll switch legs, and then sometimes I'll have it in both legs, and those are the days that I'm really incapacitated. Everything below the arch of my back hurts, and I don't do anything. That's it. I'm done. Standing is my worst enemy when it comes to this. It'll start in one leg, then it'll go to the other leg, then the whole back and the legs both join in, and the longer I'm standing there, the more painful it gets. It does not let up. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until I get off my feet. And then sitting, it doesn't do a whole lot better. So this is just a weird little thing, but it's part of it all. This circle right here, it's about the size of a silver dollar. And it always feels like somebody's got like a, I don't know, something against it. Burns. Just that one spot on the outside of my leg there, it always feels like it's being burnt by something. And I don't know, it can become quite annoying at times. And then there's my feet. So many unpleasant things happening with my feet. Pins and needles are an understatement. It literally feels like somebody is taking needles and jabbing them into the ends of my toes. And my big toe seems to be the best spot for it, because that's what gets it the most. And sometimes it is just, all I can do is grit my teeth, and it's like a real bad diarrhea cramp. All you can do is just grit your teeth and work your way through it. I mean, it gets bad sometimes, and I'll have those at random places on my feet. Sometimes it covers my entire sole of my left foot, and I don't want to walk or nothing. Ever had anybody step on your foot real good? I mean, right on your instep? This is another one of the big things that I experience quite often. Just imagine that, and it doesn't go away. Nothing you do makes it go away, and it can last for an hour, a day. I've had it last for a couple of weeks, and Man, you talk about something that just takes your energy away. Depending on its severity, it'll make me hobble. Sometimes I might have to use my cane, or sometimes I just don't move around. And sometimes that pain shoots upward to my knee, and it'll stay there. Oh, it's like I said, it's not like you can change position or something and make this stuff go away. It goes away when it wants to go away, and that's all there is to it. So quite often what I end up with is the sciatica pain coming down the back of my leg, and then the nerve pain from my foot coming up my leg in the front of my leg, and they meet right here at my knee, which you have to keep in mind is compensating for both my ankle and my hip. So it gets its own kind of aching and pain going, and it just joins in with everything else. So I end up with this leg hurting from hip to toe, and that's really bad days. And on really, really bad days, I have this going on in both legs, and that's when I'm completely out of commission. I mean, I don't want to move at all.